And he told, you guys all need to give me consent. 2021. Sorry about that. And I asked him, like, how did you come up with this? And I loved his story. He said at rock bottom, I came up with this idea that there was a Sasquatch around me at all times. So this guy was going through divorce and going through a business transition. And he's like, I wouldn't want to get out of bed. And the Sasquatch would be like, get out of bed. And so he'd get out of bed and go to the gym. He's like, I don't want to meditate. And the Sasquatch would be like, go meditate. And so he threw this on a shirt, and here we go. Ooh. Zen Squatch is number one. Number two, a number of you guys know Cured Nutrition. They are amazing. A number of you probably were on the call when I had their founder, Joe Sheehy, on. Just an incredible, incredible man who talked about his battles with depression and suicide, who, when upon like looking at him, you probably wouldn't think this is someone who struggled with that. I know that's a loaded statement to say, but if you go to curednutrition.com as well and give them some love, that would be amazing. If someone wants to throw those two in the, Katie, throw those in the chat for me. Those two companies, Zen Squatch and Cured Nutrition. And both of them, if you use the code Uncivilized, you get a fat discount. Fat discount. All right. Leila Dylla.
Favorite poem.
I just need you to say something so that the camera's on you. And I'd like to introduce Leila Dylla. Go. There you go. You're just gonna. There we go. Okay.
Fat with a PH.
There we go. Leila, for the like one person who just accidentally stumbled on this call and isn't sure where they are, please introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. You can see your way out. Yeah, I'm Leila Dylla. Traver and I met on Instagram many years ago when neither one of us were really doing much, but we had CrossFit in common. And after that, a series of events kept us in the same arena, and we've been dear friends and co-teachers. And I started my journey as a yoga teacher, and that has shifted throughout the years towards specifically coaching women in the world of entrepreneurship and empowerment and feminine healing. And I lead retreats and trainings and coaching courses and work with people one-on-one. Many of you are here, and I'm grateful that you came. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I was on Unplugged a while ago from like my parents' dining room table at one point.
Right.
And I don't even remember what we talked about on that one. So I'm excited to come now. Chat now.
I remember like, oh my God, she talks so fast during that. Yes.
You see it?
Slow down and breathe. There we go. And again, so here we have it. Just a little bit of Leila dancing, Leila with a Post-it note. And we'd love to
the mute feature is nice on Zoom, you know. I could just mute myself instead of needing to finish a sentence, just like time out. Just lean off the camera.
Amazing, guys. And the last link I'm throwing in, you saw it before. Leila and I do have a workshop coming up in September where we're going to deep dive into the things that we're talking about tonight. And tonight we're talking about what I think right now is missing as the number one topic as we chase drama and we chase shiny objects, but we're not talking about connection. And to me, that is it is the lost opportunity of the last year. Like, holy shit, didn't anybody realize last year that we need each other? And holy shit, didn't anybody realize last year we may not be that good at being together? Or holy shit, we may not be that good being in relationship with the person in the mirror. And so we're diving into all of that tonight. Leila, where have you seen connection be medicine in the last couple months or in the last year? Like, where have you seen it? Like, holy shit, thank God for connection.
Everywhere, because I'm also looking for it.
Say a bit more if you would.
Yeah, this year, last year I didn't do any retreats or trainings, which I had done in many years prior to that. And then this year I did do them again. And a couple of the women are on this call that were with me. I led a couple deep dives in the Bahamas this spring, and they were so potent to just be around people that are interested in something similar to you. To me, human connection to anything, actually, and finding that sacred thread between things is the most healing power that there is to recognize that I'm not alone, and this other being is searching for the same things, and all of a sudden, whoop, there's some belonging, and anything I was trying to do before that just expedited. So I think this year specifically, being able to be with people again in the little patches that I did, reinstated my belief in specifically doing personal development work with other people, and then recognizing, like, when are we not with other people? So every moment of our life presents itself as an opportunity for growth if we choose to see it that way. I can choose to see my life and every person as an inconvenience and someone who's bothering me, or I can choose to see it as an opportunity for me to become a more conscious, loving person. It's the same situation, just either this is against me, it's happening to me, or it's happening for me, and I can grow through it. I mean, and then if I take my life like that, I mean, when are we not around someone else or something else where I'm relating up against it and with it? If I start to see my life like that, which I do, it's every moment of my life is an opportunity for growth and expansion and more love and more understanding and more compassion. And so I think those deep dives that I did get to do this year really reinstated that. And we've done some workshops together where people just being in the same vicinity and hugging someone again after a year of, oh my God, just fearing someone getting closer than 6 feet to you. It was so healing to watch people just like their guard come down and realize how healing that can be, to just be in someone's embrace or to make eye contact with someone who's really seeing you.
Right.
Yeah. So much there. It really is medicine. And I lead retreats is one of the main things that I do, and to watch people come together, who are strangers when they arrive, and within 12 hours, you're closer than you are with everyone that you've known for 20 years with these people. It's mind-blowing and heart-blowing every single time. And it has never not happened. I've led so many retreats, and every single time people are weeping at the fact that, like, how do the people in my life not know me as well as all of a sudden these people do? It's like, well, you came here for the same reason. And it's clear that you came here looking for the same thing, some sort of new realization, or to become unstuck, and you're curious and you want to connect, and it just like expedite, really is how I see it happen in front of us.
Now, I wrote down two things that you said, which may not feel monumental to you, but I think that they're like, we need to say them again, which are, I'm not alone, and I have a sense of belonging. And we can stop here, folks, and say, that's the juice. I'm not alone, and I have a sense of belonging. And how many of us last year at some point perhaps thought, oh fuck, I'm alone. I gotta navigate this thing alone. I gotta figure this thing out alone. I remember I was living by myself when the pandemic hit, and had a men's group that was meeting regularly, but obviously we switched to online. And I remember saying, like, yeah, one of my concerns is that if I get really sick, nobody's going to know, because I live online. And each of those guys said, like, we will check in with you. Just let us know. And we all made the deal. Like, hey, if anybody gets sick, we'll check in every hour, every 2 hours, whatever we need. We got you. And I remember that day just relaxing, thinking, okay, fuck it. At least I'm not alone through this.
Yeah.
But let's now talk about belonging, because I think that is the thing we will trade our value system, our morals, our identity, our bodies, our goodwill, our money, our everything for a sense of. And I think right now, I'm just going to throw this out as my own idea. We've never felt less belonging to something, especially here in the US or here in the West. We have our individual teams, which are being guided to be at war with each other. That's awesome. Thanks, media. But let's talk about cultivating a sense of belonging. When you teach groups, how do you foster that initial sense of belonging? And I'm going to ask you that kind of with the asterisk of, do you remember our contact exercise when we opened in LA, and how mind-boggling it was for people? I'll talk about that after. How do you foster a sense of belonging, and how do you guide people to have a sense of belonging?
Yeah, my angle is always from like the yoga philosophy perspective, because for me, that's what kind of went into the target and connected me back. And I think it's helpful in the world that we live in, which is so polarized. So something that I remember, it's like if I'm trying to relate to someone's story who doesn't believe like me and try to belong with them, it's going to be pretty hard. And nowadays it's like almost everybody, we're pinned against different walls, and there's got to be something different about somebody in regards to me. So if I'm looking to relate to someone from that place, it can be challenging, and it's only getting worse, it seems. So I think for me, it's like penetrating deeper, like who am I beyond my stories and my beliefs? Who am I beyond like how much money I have in my bank account, or how much, like where I was born, or my trauma, or like how I spend my day to day, or the color of my skin. Like who am I beyond all of that? Who am I beyond my mind? And just like actually asking that question of like, who am I besides my body and my mind? Because those are two things that we're trained and conditioned to believe that we are. And I have a body and I have a mind, like that's true. And I can feel that there's something deeper inside of me that is like a power, or you could call it an intelligence. There's something inside of me, like everyone just put their hand on their chest or their heart for a moment and see if you can just actually feel your circulation, like the beat of your heart. Maybe you have to put your fingers like on. Okay, so there's this beating organ inside of you. And I'm not thinking about that beating. Like I'm not asking that to beat. I'm not remembering to have it beat. I'm not remembering to take a breath in or a breath out, although I can. I'm not digesting my food inside of myself. There's an intelligence, there's a reason, and there's a force that's causing my body to be alive and to be animated. And from the yoga philosophy perspective, that's the soul. And that's the deepest aspect of who we are. That my consciousness itself, I am a soul, and I get to live inside of a body, and I get to have a mind so that I can think and do shit. But I'm not only my mind, which is my beliefs and my traumas and my opinions and my preferences and I'm not only my body, because if I were just my body, I'd be pretty upset when it became wrinkly or, gained 5 pounds, right? But we identify really fucking heavily with both those two things. I think I'm only my body, I'm only my mind. And if that's where I am and I can't go deeper and ask like, who am I beyond that? I really am never going to find an actual relating point to another person. There's always going to be something that's different. So for me, finding that place of belonging is recognizing like inside of my body, there is a consciousness that's connected and is sourced from the same consciousness that rose the sun today, that's digesting everyone's food right now, that's pouring all the waterfalls that are pouring in the world right now. Like there is a design and an intelligence, is what I like to refer to it as. There's an intelligent force that's literally making the whole fucking world happen, and it's making me be alive. And that same force is making you be alive, and you be alive, and you be alive, and you be alive. That's true. We can relate to that. You might have been raised differently. You might come from a different part of the country. Your body might look differently. Your gender might be different. Your identity might be, that's sure to be different. There's no fucking way that I need you to be exactly a certain thing in order for me to belong with you. If I'm going from that angle, if I'm going from the surface. But if I can go beyond that and ask like, well, what's really happening here when I feel connection with another person? Maybe I'm holding hands, physical. Maybe we think alike. That's mental. But like to feel someone's presence is when my presence, my consciousness, my soul goes, another being, a soul here. Wow, something that automatically, by just being that connected and present, I have reverence for them. I want to connect to them. I have more compassion for them. I belong with them because I recognize the sameness in them that's in me. Right? Does that make sense? Feel anyone's like, that can't be fucking real. Okay, cool. Because we all have it. Of course it makes sense, because that's the only thing I could be like, oh, and my blonde hair, this and that, I lost half you. Because you don't have it. You can't talk about it. Yeah, it means me and you. But if we get down to the essence of it, it's like, who are we? Who is our essential self? Like, who am I beyond all that shit? My body changes. My mind changes all the time. Everything else changes. But we get so fixated on those things. And those things are actually what we clash about. Look at our world. We're fighting about all those things that literally are going to change in 2 weeks or 2 years, or that we're not, can't even take them with us when we go. Yet the only place we really connect from is to get to that deeper place, the soul aspect. So my guidance is always like, let's just like stop with the bullshit, go straight for the kill. And then from that place, let's see if we can work from the inside out versus working from the outside in. Working from the outside in is awful hard. Oftentimes just causes more conflict and projection and fear, hate towards each other. And to me, which that exercise that you teach is beautiful, because to me, that's a recognition of someone else's presence. Like, and in all of their bodies, right? So they're emotional, they're physical, energetic, which you'll talk about, but to recognize that there's something deeper inside of each of us. And when we deeply or just have a connection with somebody, that's a soul recognition to me. That's what that feels like to me, of like, aha, we're not doing this alone. Anyone ever felt that before? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And this exercise that we're talking about, we did this in Los Angeles. We've done this a couple times. Is at the opening of a workshop, we have everybody just walk around a room, same room, and make eye contact with someone else and hold that eye contact 3-4 seconds and then walk off. And then do the same thing again without making eye contact. When do you feel someone? When you come stand next to them, stand to the side of them, stand behind them, and then walk off. And then we ask people, this is like 7 minutes, folks. Like, how was that for you? And people are crying, like literally crying, or they're all fucked up because someone looked them in the eyes. They're watching themselves close down. If any of you have listened to the podcasts I've done with Dewey Freeman, it's his idea of this is called creating contact, where the physical, emotional, or spiritual energy, if we want to get weird, we all have it, hits someone else, be it through tactile sensation or a feeling, or like I can sense Leila, even though, where are you? Are you in Florida? Are you in Maryland?
I don't
Yes,
know.
I don't even know where the hell she is, but like I'm in contact with her.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that contact is what has been removed and what is so essential for us all to create right now. Like we kind of threw this together under the guise of relationship, but how many of you are not in contact with yourselves? How many of you don't understand where your physical, emotional, or spiritual being exists? Right? How many of us don't? I just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like up here all day or on here all day. How many of us actually take a moment and go, oh, fuck, I'm here. Oh shit. Okay. Whew, this relationship's a biggie. Before we get into like, this relationship's a biggie.
Yeah. And it's something we've been handed to immediately handle everything outside of ourselves first and really not shine like our awareness inward. And it's essential that we shine it inward, because all of our outside relationships that we're seeing are literally just a reflection of our internal relationship we have with ourselves, and then the relationship that we have with our creator or God or whatever word you want to put there, life. And everything, all our external relationships, our relationship with our boss and our mom and our sisters and our girlfriends and our boyfriends and our everything, our Instagram is built off of the foundation of how well do I hold space for myself? How well do I communicate with myself, talk to myself, care for myself, hold myself, treat myself on a regular basis? And can I see that what's happening outside of me is simply a reflection of what's happening inwardly? And that takes, there's an element of bringing consciousness into our life and then into our relationship that can be scary, because have been handed an unconscious way of living. Our society has literally taken the sacred thread and just thrown it out, in my opinion. And it has become woo-woo to meditate, which literally just means to be in one place at one time. It's not fucking woo-woo. That's called being alive. Like, how is this? How? Really? it blows my mind to like put your feet on the earth without shoes on is woo woo. It's like, you're not alive if you're not standing on the goddamn earth. You came from the earth and you'll go back there, all of us. So we have literally taken consciousness, awareness, presence, and diminished it from our life. And we've replaced it with money and prestige and our Instagram followers and fake butts, which is something I learned people get now. And all that, like, it's ridiculous, the kind of things that we have taken because someone else told us they should be important and have flipped them to the priority slit of our life. And then we do all these things we're told to do. And then we get there and we're like, I'm not happy. Of course you're not happy, because none of those things nourish who we really are. None of them. It's literally a bunch of lies. And I mean, you're uncivilized. It's like to unplug from the civilized, literally hunk of lies we've been given and be like, do any of these things actually make me happy? Like, think about how many times we open our phone and we get off of it going like, don't even know where I am. I'm comparing myself to everybody. I'm jealous. I lost 3 hours of my life. Like, but then we do it again and we do it again and we do it again. So we've been handed all of these things that literally just disconnect us from our truth. And so there's an element that's confronting when we go, okay, I'd like to be a more conscious person. That means I'm going to have to look at my life and recognize I'm the only one in charge of how I'm spending my time. And then we have to get real about like how much of that delusion we've been under, to recognize like, wow, the only thing I have in my life to actually spend is time. Like, if God, universe, whatever you want, is watching me every moment of my life, he's going, okay, this person's going to display their values, what they feel is important by the way in which they spend their time, because that's the only thing I can really watch. All right, he spent 45 minutes on Instagram while I took poop this morning. Okay, now he's gossiping with his friend. Like, what are the, like, how am I spending my time? That's what's important to human beings. The universe is going like, holy shit, this is what they care about. Why?
They care about butts. Yeah.
They care about butts. They care about Botox. They care about money. They care about being better than other people. They care about being right. They care about being hurt. They care about like their opinions. They care about winning, right? I mean, I love to win, but yeah, I'm just saying, winning is great. Keep that on the list. But the point is that it could be confronting when we go, I'm going to bring more consciousness, because consciousness means I literally am going to move the couch and start to look at all the shit that's been under the couch for a long time. And I don't want to look at, right? So the beginning can be a little like, I think I'd rather just like cruise along on autopilot. Yeah. These relationships will work themselves out, right? I say there's a better way. It's like, you only got to do that initial cleaning once. And then it's a maintenance of like, I just forever don't put old sandwiches under the couch, right? Just always move sandwiches. Just keep cleaning and keep cleaning. And I keep the awareness and recognize that then it becomes fun and expansive and enjoyable to relate and connect to other people. It's that initial like, whoa, you mean I have to own up to the way I've lived my life up until this point? Yeah. And then I would have to change the way I live my life beyond now. That could be scary, but it's necessary. It's so necessary. And we can see that. It's very easy to see that it's necessary in other people's lives. Like, can anyone here be like, I know somebody who needs to have more consciousness in their relationships and like get their shit together, or just more consciousness? Raise your hand if you got like 5 people you want to stick it to, tell them to get more conscious. Great. Let's do it. Because if we can't do it, nobody out there deserves to be told that they should do it, right?
Yeah, I'm really curious how many people, because we, one of the things that we teach is conscious relating, but how many people are in a conscious relationship with themselves?
Right.
How many people are in an abusive relationship with themselves?
Yeah.
And it's a hard question to kind of alchemize and take in and go, wow, if I thought about someone else, my partner, if I spoke to my partner, if I treated my partner the same way I treat myself, that wouldn't be a very healthy relationship. So before we dive into how do we bring consciousness to our relationships, I think we need to bring that same level of consciousness Leila just said to our lives. And consciousness is like it's an expensive word, but awareness
nowadays,
right?
Yeah,
awareness. Focus isn't.
Mhm.
Like, are you treating yourself with kindness? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you owning the things that you need to own? Are you doing the work that you need to do?
Mhm.
And the work isn't like our community says like every day should just be some fucking emotional flight down a stairs of like trauma porning all day. No,
Yeah. No,
the
hell
work
no.
is also going for a walk. The work is, are you drinking water?
Yeah.
You catch that voice in your head that's like, you piece of shit. No, sorry. You don't
Mhm.
get to say that to me.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
speaks to me that way, especially me. Like that.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are getting that it
Mm.
all starts here.
Yeah. And it
Right?
actually can be really beautiful. I think that there's like a initial of like, oh no, what will I find if I bring more awareness to my life? And that's usually worse than the actual awareness. The awareness is like, oh, it was just a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich under there, just like move it out of the way, take it to a therapist or join the nation, get on one coaching call, and you're like, shit, that wasn't that bad. Okay, now I just get to create a better day-to-day life for myself that has awareness inside of it, meaning
Mm.
like one of my favorite and like the only way we should lead meditation, which is stolen from Carolyn Mace, is just like ask yourself, like, where are you other than here?
Mm.
I remember the first time she said that, I was like, oh, whoa. I could like feel myself being pulled from all these other time zones of just like, zip, I guess I'm just here. And then I kind of bounced back out, just lasted for a second. But I just continued to ask myself that question of like, where am I other than here in this moment? Please steal that and use that every morning, every 5 minutes for the rest of your life to just check in, especially when we're relating or having a conversation or needing to make a hard decision or needing to make a decision at all. How can we even make a decision that's in alignment with our truth if we're scattered amongst different places, right? So just practicing presence is consciousness, meaning that every moment of my life, I have a sense of I'm here, I'm in this moment, I'm in my body, I'm feeling what's true for me. I'm also feeling my resistance to maybe leave or feel fear, like, oh no, what if this person judges me? What if I express what's coming up for me and I lose love, which would then be I don't belong here, which is terrifying for all of us because we do belong with each other. So that removal of love is terrifying because most of us had moments when we were younger where that did happen. So there can be a tendency to feel anxiety if something's happening around us. But the only way we can ever do anything with deep love and being in integrity with ourselves is if we're here, like in this one place and time. Like I can't like I can't laugh 5 minutes ago or 5 minutes ahead of now. Like I laugh here. I can't have an orgasm then or here. I can't love then or here. I can't make a good decision then or then here. Like I'm only ever living my life here in this one moment in time. So bringing this level of consciousness and awareness to the present moment is the foundational key to having anything in your life evolve or expand or become better. Because otherwise I'm literally just bringing like 5% of me into this choice and then I get a 5% result on the choice I made. Or like I entered this relationship 40% because I was only 40% present when I entered in because I was 20% drunk, 20% still stuck on my ex, 20% still hung up on the thing my dad did. And I'm not in the relationship, and then I'm 40% happy. Right. So the element of just bringing like, can I just be in this moment? And then just think like, have you ever been really present with somebody and like, or even just like someone makes eye contact with you? Like Traver said, like people are just crying because we did this, like someone's just with you. You don't know them at these workshops, like maybe a stranger, but it's like all of a sudden I just have awareness, make eye contact. It's like, whoa, present, and poof, our hearts open instantly.
Mm-hmm.
We want to change the world. We need people's hearts to open.
Mm.
Doesn't like we see all these countries, we're so strong, but it's like, where's the love, man? And seeing love as an actual superpower. Like it's not a weakness, actually. It's the hardest thing you can do. It's why we don't do it that often.
Amen. 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 How many of you have gotten up and left the room in the middle of a relationship without leaving the room? Everybody put your damn hands up, right? I love when it's like, nah, man. Yeah, I've done it. Leila's done it. We've done it. Yeah. Right? Or we just sat there like, I'm not good thing I'm like surfing in Costa Rica right now. Tell me more. Because this is a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I used to think
Yeah.
like every time my ex was like, "Hey, can we talk?" I was like, "Whoop,
Mm-hmm.
paddling, yay!"
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Woo. Yeah. I'm like, I'm working on hating you right now, actually, but say whatever you want. I'm creating an alternate reality where you don't belong. We had to watch when we're doing that shit.
Leila, can we dive into, and I want to just frame this first with this sounds very heteronormative, and we've talked about this so many times and just don't have better languaging for it, but masculine feminine dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Masculine feminine energies, let's call them, let alone dynamics. I think this has been an obsession of mine for a couple of years, ever since Michaela first introduced me to it, and have found throughout people's relationships, even if you're single, especially when you're single, that when you understand what the masculine part of you is responsible and is used for and is needed for, and the feminine part of you, that feminine energy, is responsible for and used for and necessary for, man, life just works a lot easier.
Yeah.
It just works a hell of a lot easier. Would you mind just sharing even some of your journey over the last year with it? I think before we dive into the like who's and what's and how's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got curious about why I was like an uber independent woman, and I'm still very independent and do many things, and I also love being held and led by my partner. It's wonderful because then my nervous system can fucking relax. But I remember being like having a really hard time accepting help. Except definitely wasn't asking for it, but even just accepting it when it was given was like I was breaking in two. It was like the hardest thing for me to figure out how to do. And I remember being like, wow, there's something here. I probably should lean into why this is so difficult for me to receive, to trust others, to trust life, to open and relax, and to be in a state of flow instead of a constant state of accomplishing. And so I kind of annoyed myself with most things I've learned in my life. I like annoy myself with a pattern enough that I can't live with myself not learning why I'm doing that any longer. That was one of those things where I was like, all right, Dan, that's enough with that. I need to explore this a little bit further. And I believe it was you that introduced me to Michaela's work, The Wild Woman's Way, and that kind of gateway towards exploring the feminine in a way that I hadn't before. And because there was no entryway for me into the studying masculine feminine dynamics, because all that I was really seeing was like, well, feminine must mean like you're like a fairy goddess and you can't make decisions. And I was like, I don't like that. That's fucking dumb. And I can't resonate with that. But I entered in through Michaela's way, which was Wild Woman. I think I burped in Costa Rica riding the bike, and you were like, you just need to read that book. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I hadn't worn shoes in like 3 weeks. So that was an entry.
So I love that your judgment was like, this is fucking dumb.
Yeah. I was like, well, I guess I'm not feminine because
I make decisions. I dress myself. I make money. Yeah. Right.
And I've like learned how to do those things really well. And so that means I can't be feminine. We're just like receptive. Yeah, which is totally bullshit. And Michaela's work definitely helped me with that, of realizing like, oh, we all express both of those dynamics or forces in our life, regardless of gender, beautifully and uniquely. So we can explore how we're able to be in a state of flow or in a state of go, regardless of gender, in a way that helps empower us inside of relationships, but also empower us just inside of our own life. So that was my entryway, and I got super curious about it. I was like, I just annoyed myself to no end, and knew that I wanted to step into partnership. We had become good friends, and I realized like, okay, this is a trustworthy human, and I probably should just stop like stepping on his toes all the time. Good thing you have like patience. You were like, you can, slow down and breathe. They're like, you don't have to jump up and like do the thing you just asked me to do. Like, I got it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how you work in partnership, where we trust each other. So it was hugely influential and helpful for me in my path. And you know that. And I don't know how candidly I can talk on here. pretty candidly.
It's unplugged. You can like, cock balls, all the things like
Sweet.
motherfucker.
Okay, so I was in the Bahamas, which is somewhere I go all the time, and psilocybin is great. If you've never had an experience with that, I think it's great. And in a setting that's healing, I've actually haven't done psychedelics in like a party setting. That's not my thing, but I've done them in nature and in a spiritual setting many times. And I remember I was really curious about the masculine, feminine stuff, and I'd started to explore it, and I was trying to soften and relax. And I always like pray over my mushrooms before I take them. And I was like, just, teach me what's next for me. And I was out on the beach by myself with my dog Folly, who's awesome at this. I love this beach. Like nobody's ever fucking out there. Matab, you were there. Jen, wherever you are, you were there with me. And I took the mushrooms, and I love that beach. I've done this many times, but there's like a particular like rock structure where the water like comes up and swirls in. And in this experience, I literally like watched the water flow into this rock structure, and the tide was coming up, so there was more water and more water and more water, and the structure just was solid and solid and solid. And I watched how, if the structure was there and solid like it was, which is the masculine, the more beautifully and fluidly and powerfully the feminine can flow inside of it. And that just spawned on like, spent the whole day like, I understand this dynamic now. This is so cool. And then I watched it everywhere. I watched the shore be the masculine, the waves be the feminine, and I watched me be the feminine inside of the earth that's holding space for me. I watched all of nature be the feminine inside of the earth that's the space for us. And so then I watched how that actually has zero to do with gender, and it literally is a dynamic that's playing out in all aspects of life. If you sit in nature, you watch these two dynamics, they are always at play. And when they're working in harmony, the relationship is gorgeous. The relationship is polarized, the relationship is fluid, the relationship is exciting, the relationship has trust. It's absolutely stunning, and it's happening everywhere. Like birds flies and sits on the tree. Beautiful. The bird is the feminine, the tree is the masculine. I make my hot coffee in the morning. Oh, this isn't coffee, this is water. And the feminine is the coffee inside. And thank God there's a masculine cup to hold it so that I can bring it to my mouth. Right. And so we get to watch how like the world works like this. And we are made of the world. So it would make sense if I studied this, that I would have a better concept of how I could either be a supporting role, or I could be the fluidity inside of it, and I can move inside of those dynamics in my own life, and then recognize when in friendship or partnership or business relationships, one person is always acting as one and the other is acting as the other, if we're trying to create polarity, or just having a conversation that has a resolution and isn't just never ending, right? So it's incredibly insightful. Any human should be studying this. Animals don't even study it because they're doing it. The natural world's working it out. Which our minds come in and are like, oh, I need to be better and bigger, and there's no way that I could ever work with someone. It's like, that's fucking bullshit. Our minds are silly. It's happening all the time. And if we tune in, we get to harmonize ourselves back with the way we were meant to work.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
I don't even know if I've shared
that.
No,
it was brilliant. It was brilliant. I think it's helpful because we throw these terms out and people, and I remember first learning about this and being like, I don't know what anybody's talking about. And it wasn't until actually having an experience. I think I've shared with you that the first time I went to one of Michaela's workshops, it was a free event in LA, and how she put all of the women in a circle in the middle of the room. We did a bunch of stuff to warm up, but think of like 10 women in a circle and then 10 men surrounding on an outer circle. And she would have us facing each other. And I didn't know my ass from my elbow in this realm. So usually for the first for 20 years of my life, if someone was in front of me, I was trying to figure out how I can punch them or take them down or not get punched. So this woman's in front of me and she's doing her womanly stuff and like moving a lot. And I'm thinking, I know, I'll just mirror her. And so I'm moving and like doing like, yeah, this is cool, right? Like we're doing this thing, like no fucking openings, right? You're not getting in here. That was hilarious. But also thinking like this will put her at ease. And finally she just stops and puts her hands on my shoulders and just said, be still. Like, be still for me, please. And then she started moving again. And I was just still, I was moderately uncomfortable because my neck was exposed, but that's okay. And she just kept moving. And then I watched her shoulders relax and I felt her act. I actually could feel her for the first time. And there's nothing sexual about this. It was that contact was actually made by the structure holding the lack of structure. And that was like, wait a minute, why don't I know this stuff? I'm 42 years old. Everybody from 41 back has failed me. Every book I've read, every course I've taken, all the things. Why haven't I learned this? And then, like you, saw it in every relationship.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of a divorce at the time and saw, like, this is why. This is one of the main reasons why I was getting divorced, because I didn't know how to provide that structure. Right.
And I can attest to that too in my relationships. Like, I was meeting my masculine partners with a wound, that my wounded feminine, which is coming out as like pseudo masculinity, and we were just hitting heads. Like, there was no space for him to lead me because I didn't feel safe enough to let him, which was half my work. And also, if we had both had consciousness, and this was many relationships that we equal parts ruined by not being able to figure out that dynamic of both of us just standing in the same place. I mean, like, okay, where's the attraction, or where's the ability to move with each other here? It's not about who's in charge or not. They're both equally powerful, and they're just opposites. They create the attraction and the fluidity of a relationship. All relationships, like, of course, this highlights and animates our intimate relationships in a gorgeous way. Sexual chemistry and our ability to communicate and our adventure and our fun, spontaneity, depth of connection. But it also creates incredible, like, I mean, if we weren't aware of this, like, our friendship and our teaching relationship would be very different or non-existent. And we've both learned so much in this relationship too, of like, you're a trustworthy person, and this is how we learn how to complement each other in the work that we do, which is amazing to have a tool to create safety and belonging everywhere we go in our pocket. It's like, I want that.
And who on this call doesn't want that? Whether you're talking about intimate, like, these skills go so beyond your intimate relationship. I'm in an intimate relationship with one person, and yet in a that kind of intimate relationship with thousands of people every day, all day, on interviews, on podcasts, on social media, walking down the street, getting food. And so I loved when in LA, when we separated the men and the women. I think it was one of the more powerful elements. And I'm going to do this in every future event that's co-ed.
Totally.
Because when the guys listening to this, when you realize that what is being called from you is your stability, and that's it. When you realize, like, wait a minute, what else? I don't have to fucking do anything else. I just have to be here. I have to be present. I have to breathe. I have to listen. I have to reflect. Like, that's it. Well, that's a superpower. Then every relationship changes. The output that you're putting out. And I was guilty as fuck, guys, of like running in circles trying to figure out, like, what do I do? How do I stop you from being like this and get you just to sit still? Oh, I don't. Well, good, because this is really making my arms and shoulders tired and my life tired. Oh, this is how. Oh, I'm not going to control you. Actually, trying to control you is counterproductive. Trying to control the feminine is counterproductive. Giving it a safe space to actually move within is hyperproductive, and I'm productive. I like to get shit done. So guys hearing this, realize that your superpower that no one's told you about is not here, even though these are awesome. I fucking love mine. Yet the real superpower is just being able to know that you got them. And if you need to pick up some heavy shit, you can do it. But right now, this is what's being called for. You get that? Especially, if I can add, Leila, especially now, when chaos is fucking everywhere. The call for the masculine. There are leaders emerging right now. And it's not the dudes on television. It sure as shit ain't anybody in politics. It's guys in their immediate circle saying, like, hey, you know what? I got this. You cool? Because if you're not, it's okay. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
You at rock bottom, that's okay. That shit doesn't scare me. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having the framework is step one, doing the work so that you're not like, oh, triggered as shit right now. Just back to this. Fuck, you said the thing. You're talking about. I think I just like a little improv there. That was me being triggered. Then I lost my train of thought. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, yeah, the chaos of the world.
Mm-hmm.
We need men planted all over this world who are just like, not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not
And
bypassing. Sorry, it's not like there's a problem, but I'm just going to pretend there's not a problem because I listened to this one Unplugged episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally being able to say, I got this. Go ahead, Leila.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say there's an element there too of, and when we did our last Steamboat retreat, this was a big theme that came through, of the recognition in a lot of the men that were there of being the mountain and being this present safe force doesn't mean you're emotionally disconnected. I think that this can be a misconception as well, because to be safe and steady and able to hold space for the chaos, to the degree that you can, I'm going to speak as the feminine, you're only as safe to me as I can feel your heart. Doesn't matter how still you stand.
You guys
If
get
you
that?
stand,
You mind saying that one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, you're only as safe to me as I can feel your heart. So if you're standing there holding space for me, but you're not in your body, like you're not connected to the feeling of safety and you're not connected to the essence of what's happening, then there is no potency there. I'm not going to feel safe enough to continue to expand or for the situation to actually heal or to invite you in more. Your heart has to be engaged, and that can be scary for men and women and everyone in between, because when we share our heart or have in the past, that can be when we've been hurt, and so that tends to be the aspect of us that's the most guarded. Yet I see that as the thing that has to be unlocked for our world to heal, for us to heal, and then to heal with each other, and then for that to permeate out into our society. So it isn't about only being steady and sovereign. It is, but without the invocation of your heart, like the essence of who you are, there no progress will really be made. It will just simply be one stoic person to one stoic person, and where's the healing there, right? I posted today because I was listening to another, like re-listening to something on A Course in Miracles, and she said that the most sacred ground is where the most sacred ground is where an ancient hate has turned into a present love.
Ooh.
And I like had to stop it, and I cried because I was like, damn, what a powerful, can you just imagine in your life, if you get one thing from this call, although I'd love for you to come to Steamboat and register for our retreat, it's gonna be fucking dope. It would be to look at your life and see, where am I still holding on to hate? All of us, men, women, and anyone in between. And do I have the capacity to turn that hate? Maybe it's a generational hate. It's been an ancient hate that this has been handed to me to have this judgment or this criticism or this hate in me, this resentment in me. And do I have the capacity to turn that into a present love? That's fucking alchemy. That is what's needed right now for our generation, the people that are becoming conscious at all. That kind of power is needed in our own personal life so that can seep out into the collective, because we see that hate in our collective, but it's so easy to pretend like we aren't contributing to that hate. If there's anyone in your life that you hold resentment towards, judgment, criticism, hate, we are perpetuating what we see in the world. And our ability to look at that and figure out whatever we have to do internally to let that point of contention finally release, we're actually doing our part.
Brilliant. Thank you for that.
And that can't happen without our heart. The whole point of that.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
can't happen without our heart, right?
Yeah.
All beings. And the feminine, the same. If the feminine's just being pure fucking chaos and there's no actual like center point or heart radiating from her, that's just being spastic. That's
Right.
not being creation. That's not being pure chaos. That's just being spastic and saying like, hold space for me. That's not the fucking feminine. Feminine also has an anchor into that essence, that soul, that love that never ends. Both parties have to have that in every connection point. The anchor is the heart, and then there's either fluidity or there's stability. But without that heart element, no real potency comes from that. And when it is engaged, everything changes.
Amen. Right? Otherwise, it's chaos and numb. And good luck with that. Actually, I think a lot of us have been in that relationship before.
Yeah, same many times. I'm like, why isn't this working? Damn it.
It's not happening. Leila, do you have a few minutes to hop on questions?
Definitely.
Okay. And just since this one's kind of top of mind, Joshua asks, so why do we panic? I think we panic when the stimulus overrides our capacity. And so our work here is to build up capacity. Right? We all have a capacity, and I'll speak to the men since he asked as a man, I believe. Our work is to increase our capacity for what we're able to hold. And this isn't superhuman. I want to get this out of the consciousness conversation, that we're like these mind reading, fucking levitating superhumans, that your humanity is out the window. When your capacity gets over, I remember sitting with my two guys last year. Each of them had 2 kids, and the kids were fucking chaos. And I was like, how are you guys okay? Like, I'm not okay right now. And they were like, trust me, we don't even hear them. Right? Their capacity was so, I'm like, do you think this is bad? Like, this is absolutely nothing. And I was like, where's my silent time? Where's my meditation practice? So it's about increasing that capacity, Josh. And that comes both in on the mat and off the mat. Off the mat is, what am I doing on my own? Am I meditating? Am I journaling? Have I gone to therapy? Everybody needs to go to therapy
regularly,
like
once.
forever. Yeah. Like, I've said, like at birth, they should be like, here's your social security number. Here's your therapist. This one will change. This one won't. And we'd be like, oh my God, what do you know? We don't need to go to war anymore. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Go to therapy. That's off the mat. On the mat is, where are the moments when you've hit that point in your relationship with whoever it is, your boss, your kids, your spouse, your partner, that you're like, I usually do this right now. This is when I check out. This is when I yada, yada. This is when I shut down. This is when I want to, I'm going to just take 3 steps towards a new way. That's it. Like these baby steps. That's how we increase our capacity on the mat. That's when every relationship, as Leila opened, every relationship becomes a training ground. The woman at the checkout counter who's physically writing a check. You are my sensei right now, because who the fuck writes checks when I have important shit to do in my life? Cool. Right? Then that's the mini practice. It's not just when everything's falling apart in your relationship too. Leila, do you have a thought on that before we go back a little bit and hit another question?
Was it panic or overwhelm?
Yeah, why do we panic?
Yeah. I mean, everything that you said. I think getting a therapist is helpful because a lot of panic is a nervous system response. And so many of us, all of us have moved through trauma in some way in our life. And that's not to like make everything we all got to heal it. We do need to work on our trauma. We just need to recognize like what's happened to us in our past that has fucked with our nervous system. Because if we haven't healed it, it's still fucking with our nervous system. So there is an ownership of like, okay, I need to figure out how to regulate myself better, recognize some of the patterns that might still be playing out in my life because those were my initial patterns. So if panic happened when I was 3 like that, probably happening similar now, right? So doing some of that work on the back end of like rewiring those things, and then daily practice of regulating yourself, of recognizing like life is going to be okay. Life is still happening. There's so many things happening in this moment. Like there's enough time. When I'm panicked, I say like, there's enough time. There's enough time. What would I do if I trusted? Put my hand on my heart and just take one breath, go wash my face, go stand outside, recognize nothing has to happen in this moment, unless it's like the actual house is burning down or something. Most things you could take 3 seconds, 30 seconds to bring yourself back to center before making a choice. So giving yourself that permission, I think, is important. And also like, I've been jamming on this visual. Have you ever thought that you were at the end of a staircase and then you weren't, and you accidentally stepped down like 2 or 3? That shit is fucking terrifying. So what I've been doing with my clients this week is just recognizing like what happens often when we're trying to like become a better person. We visualize like the whole staircase, and then we're like, I've got to do the whole staircase. It's like, if you try to do the whole staircase, you're fucked. But like, if you just took one stair, it's obtainable. Like you can just do one stair, and don't try to rush, or you're going to do 2 and jam your back or something. Who knows? Don't do it in the dark. Like, so just take it one step at a time with all of this is something I've been thinking of. Like, it's panic when I think I need to go down the whole goddamn staircase at once. Amen. So oftentimes our mind pulls out like, you're going to stop eating sugar forever. It's like, no, I'm not even going to do it once then. Right. Or you got to stop drinking. You got to stop fucking around forever. Like our minds can't comprehend that. So don't do the whole staircase thing. Just pull it back and be like, but what can I do? Like, what would be one thing? And then just do that one thing. And then you're already one step down. Okay. And just do one more. Right. So that helps me walk off panic. Because usually panic is a mind created thing that's stimulating my body to freak out. And it's just my mind coming with some grandiose idea that I need to be jumping on a whole flight of stairs to fix something. And I just don't need to. Just do one.
Brilliant. Yeah. And Josh, remind yourself, I like to, if I'm panicking, I check in. Is there a roof over my head? Are there walls next to me? Is there food in my fridge? Is there air in my lungs? Are there people who love me? Okay. Like then I'm most likely to get through this. And as Leila said, like if someone's breaking into my house, whole different ordeal, but usually they're not. Terry asked, it seems like in a lot of situations, the sense of self is increasingly externally manufactured rather than internally developed. How do we develop an internal sense of community?
Well, the community piece took me in a different direction because I was thinking she was going to say an internal sense of self, because the first part was like it's externally manufactured. So my first reference would be create devotion in your life that helps nurture that deeper aspect of who you are so that you can start to build a relationship with it. Because if we're just looking to our outside world or our social media to tell us who we are, then that's where I'm going to find my validation or myself or my community out there. But if I spend more time in silence and more time with myself or in prayer or contemplation or reflection or meditation or just present, just breathing a little bit of time every day and really asking myself the kind of questions that I might ask the outside world, then I'm going to develop a rapport with myself and have a better sense of self. And then from that place, I can create community because all of a sudden I recognize like, okay, these are my values. This is what feels good for me. This is who I am. Really. This is me on the real. And then from here, I can be like, okay, these are the types of people I want to hang out with because they're helping me remember who I am. They're not distracting me. They're not making me compromise in order to fit in. Right. So I think knowing who we are and finding a daily devotion that helps us remember that essence is helpful. And it could look different for everybody. Right. To me, I have this altar space here. I come sit every day. I do my embodiment practices. I enjoy writing. I enjoy being in nature. I enjoy being with my dog. There's so many things I enjoy doing that help me connect back, prayer. And then from that place, I know exactly where my communities are because I can start to be like, okay, who's looking to expand or who's looking to connect, who's done with the gossip and the hate and the blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to plug back into it. And how can I find, and then from that place, we actually just feel it on the internal. There isn't really a lot of mind. We're like, oh yes, that's my person. I felt it in my guts, not in my head. I didn't have to think about it or convince myself. It was just there. Hopefully that answers that.
Yeah, that helps. I love that answer. And Terry, I have a different approach. Perhaps it's a little more masculine, but I talk to myself and record it a lot. I can show you if you can see it, like hundreds. You guys see all that? Of voice notes. And maybe people think that's crazy. I don't
You
care.
crazy.
I just ask questions and answer them. Or I recorded one today on the way back from the chiropractor of like a check-in. Like, hey, how we doing? Yeah, there's some stuff going on, huh? And that just helps. I think, and for guys listening, it seems to help them a lot too. So much of the, otherwise, if not, you know what I do? I think about it all day. Same thought over and over and over. But if I can speak it and record it, it feels like it leaves my system and goes and lives in my phone. And then there are times,
journaling too.
yeah, just like journaling. I
Yeah,
get up in
yeah.
the morning, go downstairs, have a cup of coffee, and then put on headphones. And a lot of times just listen to them. And I'm in relationship to myself in that way, or in community. Let's get one more. I had another good one up here from Tom. If we are making contact and if I am making contact and I feel sadness, is there any way to determine if that comes from me or an emotion I'm picking up from someone else, from you? I think we had this question a little while back too. This is one that comes up a fair amount. How would you address that?
I need to think about that a little bit longer.
I'll hop
What do
in.
you think? Yeah, go for it.
So Tom, I usually have an idea of there's just a sense like, is this mine? Is this theirs? And oftentimes it's where it hits me in my body. And I know this may sound abstract.
That's where I was going to go. And I was trying to come up with something different.
I know where my emotions come from.
Yeah.
And I know when I'm feeling someone else's emotion, and there's a little bit of a different flavor, for lack of better, for like, it's hard to articulate emotions. But especially if I'm in contact with them and then the emotion came, I may be feeling what they're going through, which means I'm feeling it, or I may start feeling it myself because I'm going through it. But I think there's a tiny degree of separation. I'll go for lack of like more obtuse or acute terms. There's just a different sense to it.
One for me feels like, I was going to go with, it feels like this, but I understand that it feels like this for other people as well, because if we're living fully inside of our bodies and we're present, it's much easier to tell actually if it's someone else's or mine, because I'm here, right? So if I'm in present time, kind of imagine myself as like an integrated, like I'm full of myself, but for real, like I'm thick and like I'm denser. And so I can tell when something sprouts from within me versus if something's coming at me and towards my energy field. And if I'm disintegrated or not present, so only like 20% of myself is here, it could be a little confusing of like, whoops, I just like picked up somebody else's thing and it slid inside me and like, I don't even know what's mine or what's theirs. So presence and like actually being grounded and in my body and breathing to be able to feel like, what are my organs doing? What are my emotions? Like feeling your whole body at once and just being in this one place is super helpful for me, because then my emotions typically sprout from like my belly, just like right here, whoop, and into my heart. And they wash over me different. They kind of wash through me, versus over me would be somebody else's emotion coming towards me from their auric field, or their energy would be like, I'm picking up on someone else's coming to me and it washes over, versus this goes through me, where it could be, it bubbles up within me versus like crashes down on top of me. So my emotion would be coming up from within me. Somebody else's would be kind of crashing on top of me or moving around me. And doesn't mean that I can't engage with it, especially if it's something I want to be with. But there is a level of energetic consent if we're present. Where I'm with someone in their sadness. And if I'm not present, all of a sudden I could be hooked and I'm in it with them. And I didn't even have a choice. But if I'm present, I know where my energy is. I know where I begin and stop and they begin. Then I can consciously engage with somebody else's sadness or frustration, or in a way that's actually healthy for me to help them or hold space for them, or whatever kind of contract we have. But that over involvement with other people's energy or emotions has happened more in my life the less present I was, or less embodied I was. Does that make sense?
Tom, are we answering your question? If you want, we can have you unmute. I think you can unmute, brother. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense what you guys are saying. What I'm finding is the more I unpack my emotional shit, that I'm awakening this sensitive side of myself.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm having troubles that when you guys spoke of like the connection, like the eye contact, like I'm having a tough time, differentiating between like my own emotion and somebody else, especially like the month in the nation is, the dark side of the light chasers, and we're talking about projections. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a tough time as I start to open up that sensitive side of myself.
Mm.
So yeah, and I
That
had
makes
asked
sense,
the
brother.
therapist about this before, and he said, "Oh no, that doesn't exist." So, but I just don't feel that way because I feel like vibes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Tom,
sense.
there's a difference between sympathy and empathy, right? Sympathy is something happened to you, so I get sad. Empathy is something happened to you, I can sense that you're sad. There's an enmeshment with sympathy. It's like you fall into that person. And so if this is new to you, if emotion is new, it's like, holy shit, we just cracked the emotion book. Then there's going to be some disorganization. There's going to be some messiness. There's going to be some like, oh, I spilled in, they spilled in. That's okay. It's brilliant. It's perfect. Just like learning anything, you may overdo it a little bit. You may take on too much, but you're going to navigate and have your own way of being in front of people who are going through deep, deep emotion and still being able to hold your center. And like we said with Josh, sometimes you don't, you fall off the cliff. It's like, ah, fuck, get back up, start over, take a breath, and just realize that all of this is training. And that there's something that you're really good at now that you probably weren't that good at in the beginning when you first learned about it. And no different than this, but you're on the path, man. And this is so beautiful. It's so much better to be in the messy state of figuring out emotion, especially as a man, than where so many of us were just months or years ago, which was emotion is a foreign fucking country and I don't go there. And then we miss out on the actual richness of the human experience, which is joy, which is pleasure, which is laughter, which is sadness, which is grief. The whole smattering. We want all of it. So I hope that helps. If you find yourself like getting, like Leila said, like, oh, I'm getting pulled in, just take a breath. Touch yourself, like put your hand on your body, like, oh, I remember having to do this a lot when I was first seeing acupuncture patients. It was like, oh, wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. As opposed to like, oh my God. And then now I can't treat them because I'm a fucking mess. Awesome question, brother. I appreciate you bringing it in. Anybody else?
Go ahead,
I
was just going to say, have a lot of compassion for yourself too. It's like anything that we tried that's new, especially something as big as like attuning to emotions and becoming more sensitive, which is a fucking powerful thing. The word sensitive makes it seem like it's like a weakness, but sensitivity is actually a fucking superpower to be able to attune to another being's experience. It's a huge fucking deal. So I would take it on as such and be super kind to yourself. Again, being in a relationship with yourself like you would want to be with somebody else, like be a gentle, encouraging, just take it one step at a time and then hold yourself, and you don't judge yourself for fucking it up. There's no fucking it up. You felt someone's emotion. That's okay. Come back to center.
Do you mind if I say one thing in comment?
Please.
Sure.
It's funny because as I'm trying to find my way home to myself, I look at my youngest son, who's 9, and I see how sensitive and empathetic he is. And I almost have compassion for myself as a young boy, and realizing that I was probably a lot like him. And somewhere along the line, I had to shut that off of myself. And it's heavy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What an amazing opportunity you have to teach him how many avenues he has to be a powerful man or human in the world. Wow. And just the fact that you get to display that for him is going to be incredible, to be able to nurture that connection in him so he's able to display his strengths in all those ways. kudos to you. Good
Yeah.
job.
He gets to be your guru for a little bit. You get to look at
Yeah.
him and go, wow, that was me. And
Yeah.
heal the little boy in you through him by giving him that permission and for allowing yourself to realize and recognize that that's in you. And this is the work of modern men, just to speak to men, is to go back and realize, oh, wow, 99% of the stuff we were taught, shamed for, hit, called wimps, teased for, literally abused over was bullshit. And now our work is to uncouple that and undo that so we don't continue to do to the planet, to the feminine, to women, to children, to animals, to each other what we're doing. This is the work, brother. Like, this is the work. It's not sexy. It's not, you don't throw it on fucking Instagram. It's, yeah, I'm looking at my son and realizing how much pain is in me. That's the work. So good on you, brother.
100%.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, you guys. Leila, I love you. Thank you for coming in. For everybody else, thank you for your time, for joining us, for your energy, for your support in all of this. We have the link again in the workshop. It's September 16th through the 21st, Steamboat, Colorado. DM us or email us if you have any questions. We would love to have all 63 of you there. Have a great evening. Mwah.
Love you. Thanks,
Bye, guys.
everyone.